While rescuing Dan from her kidnappers, Seung-joon is shot. As he collapses, Dan runs to him in a panic. He manages a faint smile and gasps that he's okay, trying to reassure her, before slipping into unconsciousness. On the way to the hospital in the ambulance, Seung-joon stirs awake. Through her tears, a devastated Dan tells him that if he had come back for her, she was ready to give him a chance. She truly was. Seung-joon asks weakly what she meant that night when she said, "I like it." Was it the Ramyun, or was it him? Dan gently replies that she meant him. A faint smile touches his lips as he whispers, "I knew it," before his hand slips from hers, lifeless. He's gone. Meanwhile, in the intensive care unit, Seri continues to fight for her life, her condition worsened by the sepsis brought on from the stress of her visit to see Jung-hyuk. Agent Kim, recognizing the depth of Jung-hyuk's love for Seri, quietly bends the rules. He allows Jung-hyuk to go to the hospital and he waits outside her room, even if he's not permitted to enter. Just being near her, even from a distance. To her family's shock and fear, Seri flatlines in the hospital. The room fills with tension as doctors urgently work to revive her. Thankfully, after a few heart-stopping moments, they manage to get her heartbeat back, easing everyone's panic slightly. Stepmom notices Jung-hyuk standing quietly nearby once again. Seeing the deep concern in his eyes, she turns to Agent Kim and gently asks him to let Jung-hyuk stay, in case Seri takes another bad turn or wakes up calling for him. The teammates continue to be treated surprisingly well by the NIS, even getting to eat meals together. Chiso brags proudly that the agents seem to like him so much, they're basically scouting him. But his ego quickly deflates when the others casually mention that they've all been asked if they want to stay, too. A week later, back in North Korea, Director Ri meets privately with the military director to discuss a plan to bring Jung-hyuk and his teammates home. Director Ri proposes exchanging them for a few South Korean spies who have been imprisoned without a formal trial. The military director immediately pushes back, clearly opposed to the idea. But Director Ri doesn't back down. He calmly slides over a set of documents sent by the NIS, proof that the military director was in regular contact with Chul Kang and may have even ordered him to eliminate Jung-hyuk. Realizing what's happening, the military director understands the deal on the table. In return for Director Ri keeping quiet about his involvement with Chul Kang, he must do the same about Jung-hyuk's defection, which was driven by love. After a moment of thought, the military director agrees, but with one condition: he wants full control over the soldier exchange process. Once Seri wakes up and begins to recover, her stepmom gently tells her the news: Jung-hyuk is being sent back to North Korea immediately. Seri tries to stay composed and says it's probably for the best. She's already said goodbye to him so many times, and she doesn't want him to see how weak and sick she's been. But stepmom isn't fooled. She tells Seri that while she was unconscious, Jung-hyuk never once left her side. And when Seri finally opened her eyes, stepmom saw the look on Jung-hyuk's face, a look full of overwhelming love. But instead of stepping closer, he backed away so that Seri wouldn't see him. It had clearly broken his heart to leave her, but he hadn't resisted when Agent Kim came to take him back into custody. Stepmom had seen everything, and she knows the truth. No matter what Seri says, she desperately wants to see Jung-hyuk again. Overcome with emotion, Seri breaks down in tears and pleads with her stepmom to take her to him. On the bus heading to the soldier exchange site, Jung-hyuk and his teammates ride in heavy silence. They're relieved to hear Seri is going to be okay, but they are sad too. Jung-hyuk says nothing, his face unreadable and his thoughts elsewhere. Agent Kim watches him carefully, clearly concerned by the weight Jung-hyuk is carrying. Stepmom drives as fast as she can, determined to get Seri to the exchange site in time. On the way, she calls Agent Kim and begs him to delay the exchange. Understanding the deep love between Seri and Jung-hyuk, Agent Kim agrees and promises to stall for as long as possible. Meanwhile, the teammates and Jung-hyuk arrive at the exchange location. Agents from both countries move toward the military demarcation line. Agent Kim tries to buy a few extra minutes, but the North Korean officials grow impatient, insisting the exchange must proceed immediately. One by one, the soldiers from both sides cross the line. Then, Jung-hyuk steps over into North Korea. At that very moment, Seri's car screeches to a halt. She jumps out and cries Jung-hyuk's name as she sees him and the teammates being placed in handcuffs. Without thinking, she runs toward him, yelling that he can't leave her like this. Jung-hyuk's heart races, his first concern is for her health, and he pleads with her to stop running. But Seri doesn't stop. As she nears the border, Jung-hyuk can't hold back any longer. In a split second, he turns and runs toward her, crossing the line back into South Korea. He catches her in his arms just before she collapses, holding her tightly as if letting go would mean losing everything. Agents from both sides draw their weapons, tense and alert, but for Jung-hyuk and Seri, the world narrows to just the two of them. Seri's eyes fill with fear as she watches Jung-hyuk and his teammates being handcuffed by their own people. Her voice trembles as she asks why this is happening. Jung-hyuk gently reassures her, promising that nothing bad will happen to them. He looks into her eyes and says he's thankful for the gift of meeting her, for the days they had together, and softly apologizes for the harsh words he said when he pushed her away. Tears streaming down her face, Seri asks the question she's most afraid of, will they ever see each other again? Jung-hyuk gives her a quiet but steady answer, to wait, to pray, and to believe that someday, somehow, they will meet again. And then, with all the love he's held inside, he finally says the words she's longed to hear, I love you. Seri chokes back her sobs and tells him she loves him, too. The moment hangs between them, and then Jung-hyuk is pulled back across the border. Just before he disappears from view, he turns for one final look, eyes lingering on her as if trying to memorize everything. The teammates call out their goodbyes, Jisoo tries to act tough, but his voice cracks, and Yoon-dong throws Seri a finger heart with a trembling smile. Back in North Korea, Director Lee receives the call confirming that Jung-hyuk and the men have returned. Without delay, he sets off to bring them safely home. But things take a dark turn. Instead of heading to Pyongyang, the military director has the men driven deep into a remote forest. Still in handcuffs, they're ordered out of the vehicle. Jung-hyuk immediately senses something is wrong and demands to know why they're not being taken to the capital. His voice is calm but laced with rising alarm. The military director says that they'll be court-martialed and executed anyway, so it's better they die here and save their families the trouble. Jung-hyuk insists he's the only one guilty. His friends were simply in South Korea for the World Military Games. The military director laughs darkly, saying Jung-hyuk's friends will keep him company in death, then signals his men to raise their guns. In the next few moments, things happen very fast. Manbok jumps in front of Jung-hyuk, but Jung-hyuk holds him and turns around quickly while the teammates gather closely around them to protect. Bullets are being fired, but it's the corrupted soldiers who are hit. More men run out of the forest, followed by Director Ri, who calmly approaches the military director. Director Ri scolds the military director for trying to execute them without a proper trial, warning that this could lead to innocent people being killed. He continues, "But it's different when I witness someone trying to kill my son. You aren't innocent." The military director starts to draw his pistol, but Director Ri is ready with his own weapon, and he shoots the military director at point blank. Director Ri and Jung-hyuk return home, and Jung-hyuk quickly apologizes for causing his father so much worry. Director Ri reassures him, saying he's just thankful Jung-hyuk is alive. When he asks about Seri, hearing her name makes Jung-hyuk break down in tears. Jung-hyuk's mother showers him with care and attention, and while it's clear he's happy to be home, a deep sadness still lingers in his eyes. Meanwhile, Manbok comes back to the village and immediately notices Wupil, not being left out or bullied anymore, but happily playing with the other children. Myeong-suk scolds Manbok gently for not staying in touch while he was away, and they both cry with joy, grateful to be reunited. Things are very different for Dan. She's overwhelmed with grief over Seung-joon's death and refuses to eat or get out of bed. She just wants to be left alone. But her mother gently reminds her that she and her uncle are there to support her. After some thought, Dan decides to accept their help and tells them that what she really wants is revenge. Their first step is arranging a meeting between Dan and CEO Jeon, who looks like he's taken a serious beating for letting Seung-joon escape. Dan demands information about everyone involved in the events leading to Seung-joon's death. She promises CEO Jeon that he won't face any punishment for helping her, because none of those responsible will leave the country alive. Meanwhile, back in South Korea, Sehayang keeps blaming Sanga for his troubles. He's furious that she hired men to capture Seung-joon, hoping to use him to discredit Seri. He's also angry that she paid Chulkang to kill Seri after he thought she'd gone too far. She stays silent and takes his phone from the car, noticing that he's been secretly recording their conversation. She tells him she did everything for his sake, but Sehayang shouts that he's lost everything and might go to jail. Sanga calmly assures him that she made sure all the evidence is covered up. Chairman Yu then calls everyone to his home, including Seri, who has just been released from the hospital. Seri admits that she's already been questioned by the NIS and expects to be prosecuted. Sanga smiles smugly at this. Chairman Yu then explains that, given the special circumstances, Seri will probably only face a suspended sentence or a fine. Seri tells Sehayang that he and Sanga could face up to 10 years in prison for hiring known criminals. She calls out to Agent Kim, who is waiting just outside with Manager Oh. Manager Oh proudly reveals that CEO Jeon in North Korea has provided plenty of evidence against Sehayang and Sanga. Agent Kim arrests them on charges including solicitation of kidnapping and murder. Sehayang makes a desperate plea to his father, asking him to consider the company's reputation, but Chairman Yu cuts him off sharply. He says he's removing the corrupt parts of his family and that Sehayang is on his own. When Seri finally returns home, she finds that before leaving, Jung-hyuk had fully stocked her kitchen with food. Overwhelmed, Seri cries again, moved by how much he cared for her, even after he was gone. But the biggest surprise comes when she goes to bed and receives a text from Jung-hyuk. He'd asked Agent Kim to teach him how to send scheduled messages. The text says he still has so much to say to her, but his most important message is hidden on her bookshelf. Just like Seri did in his room in North Korea, Jung-hyuk had rearranged her books so the first letters of each title spell out, "You Seri, I love you." The text messages from Jung-hyuk keep coming at unexpected times. He reminds Seri to eat well, spend time with loved ones, and enjoy life, just as he's doing too. Sometimes, they even take walks at the same time, apart but still connected in spirit. The teammates have returned to work at the demilitarized zone, but their time in South Korea has left a deep mark on them. They've picked up a lot of slang and talk about missing simple things like French fries, internet, hot running water, and of course, Seri. Seasons change, and spring arrives. Dan's mother visits the village wives while helping Dan move out of her apartment. She brings gifts, skincare products from a recent trip to Europe, and the women are surprised to see their own faces and names on the packaging. These new products are from Seri's choice, inspired by and named after each of the ladies who welcomed Seri into their lives. Dan's mother tells them she no longer holds any grudge against Seri, having learned how kind and caring she really was. The women quietly tear up, remembering their friend. While packing, Dan finds the blue jacket Seung-joon wore on the one day they spent together. They had gone for a drive, and Seung-joon had made her laugh, joking and singing to break her usual serious mood. Later, Dan walks alone on the bridge where Seung-joon once kissed her, allowing herself to cry for him one last time. Dan's mother visits Jung-hyuk's mother to officially end the engagement. She explains that Dan no longer wants to marry Jung-hyuk because she's in love with someone else, and that man loves Dan more than his own life. Later, Dan goes to Jung-hyuk's house to end things face to face. While there, memories flood her, especially of Seung-joon giving her the ring. She tells Jung-hyuk that she was with Seung-joon while he was gone in this place. They were here for some time. Jung-hyuk asks about Seung-joon, who had helped him a lot. Dan only says that Seung-joon went far away and will never return. Dan recalls her trip to Switzerland to see Jung-hyuk, how he spent more time taking pictures than being with her. She found his old, broken camera when she stayed over at his place and took it with her, planning to throw it away. But instead, she had it fixed. Looking through the pictures, she finally understood why Jung-hyuk had barely looked at her in Switzerland. Later, Jung-hyuk looks at the photos and smiles when he sees the one he took of Seri on the suspension bridge. In spring, Seri receives a scheduled text from Jung-hyuk saying that planting season has begun. Along with the message, a pot with seeds is delivered to her. Jung-hyuk's text explains how to care for the plant and says she'll discover what kind it is once it grows. Seri complains that it sounds like a lot of work, but she carefully follows his instructions, even speaking kind words to the plant, like sold-out stock options, limited edition products, and read Jung-hyuk, just as she once told him to do with his tomato plant to speak lovingly. Jung-hyuk's loving and encouraging messages keep coming, and even Seri's employees start noticing the positive change in her. Through the texts, Seri feels connected to Jung-hyuk, sharing moments with him across seasons they never spent together. On her birthday, one final scheduled text arrives. There's a 1-year limit on these messages. Jung-hyuk talks about the plants, which have blossomed into edelweiss. He says he wants to meet her in the country where edelweiss bloom and adds, if we both try our best, perhaps fate will be on our side. Up north in the village, the women are excited because Junghyuk's squad is returning from the front line today. They prepare the house just as they always do and dress up to warmly welcome their handsome captain home. Over dinner, Junghyuk breaks the news that he's being discharged from the military and has been chosen as the new pianist for the National Symphony Orchestra. He asks the ladies to be just as caring and kind toward the new captain as they have been with him. The new captain is Jisoo. They are shocked with the update. They all force smiles, mostly for Jisoo's sake, trying to be polite even though they feel awkward. With Sehang no longer around to cause trouble, Seri and her family have become much closer these days. Technically, Sejun now runs Queen's Corp, but he was smart enough to hire a professional manager as per Seri's suggestion and mostly remains a figurehead who spends most of his time playing golf. Seri invites Sejun to help her set up a scholarship foundation for disadvantaged children who have musical talent, so they can attend a prestigious music school in Switzerland. A big part of the reason Seri is doing this is that she hopes Junghyuk will see news articles about the students' performances in Switzerland through the program and come find her. However, every time she visits, she returns home disappointed, which makes stepmom feel sorry for her. But Seri tells stepmom that Junghyuk has always found her before, and she's confident he'll find her once again. Seri travels to Switzerland once again, and for a brief, magical moment, she thinks she sees Junghyuk playing the piano in a busy town square. But it turns out to be someone else, and although she leaves feeling disappointed, her determination to find the love of her life again only grows stronger. Deciding to take a break, she tries paragliding but ends up landing awkwardly on a hillside. She mutters to herself that her landing was terrible. Suddenly, she hears a familiar voice say, "I don't think your landing was that bad. I think you fell in the right spot." Actually, you didn't fall, you descended. Seri emerges from beneath her parachute and sees Junghyuk standing there with a playful grin. After a moment of stunned silence, she wraps her arms around him, tears flowing as she says she knew he'd find her. She asks how he managed to get there, and he jokes that he got on the wrong train, which luckily took him to the right destination. Then, he kisses her. Additional scene. Dan's mother has heard about the remarkable fortune teller from the village ladies, so she decides to call her. The fortune teller reveals that Dan has already met the love of her life, but they parted ways 3 years ago. She predicts that Dan will remain alone but will achieve such great success that she won't need a man. Dan happily confirms that she prefers to stay single and focus on her music, so her mother decides to find a man for herself instead. Manbok leaves the military and moves his family to Pyongyang to start a new career in sound design for a film company. Meanwhile, the teammates remain in the village under their new captain, Jisoo, who recently visited the black market vendor to get some of the fancy Seri's choice products. Seri takes another trip to Switzerland, where the featured pianist performs the song Junghyuk wrote for his brother. Just as the music begins, Junghyuk arrives, and he and Seri hold hands under the table, enjoying the exhibition together. They spend 2 weeks every year in a small mountain villa, happy and deeply in love.